Join me today as we talk a little bit about the difference between something being for everyone and something being for anyone. This is the Geek Cabal channel. My name's Bobbie. Hopefully this comes out all right in the editing. It's kind of dark out, and I'm in a parking lot with the lights on. Looks okay here on my phone, but a few times it hasn't looked so great when I go to edit it. The test video looked okay, so here's hoping. Okay, so that aside, as I said in the intro, there's a difference between something being for everyone and something being for anyone. And I think that our good friends who love to call everyone who doesn't think and act like them all kinds of ists and phobes and whatnot have gotten away with conflating the two to suck in the normies to their cause. And so what do I mean by this? Okay, if something is for anyone, like how Star Wars or Star Trek or Dungeons and Dragons or any number of other properties have existed for decades, what that means is there's nothing stopping someone from showing up and indulging in whatever it is. So there was no magic barrier that stopped people from enjoying Star Wars or Star Trek, even if they weren't straight white people, which is the usual argument. And so there was nothing stopping them from showing up. There's nothing to stop them from watching the movies, nothing to stop them from talking about the movies, from enjoying the movies. In the case of Dungeons and Dragons, provided you could find a group to play with. Now, Wizards of the Coast couldn't provide that, although they're working on it. Don't worry, they'll get you all in digital sooner or later. They, it was a game where you could pretend to be anything. So what you actually are was completely irrelevant because you could pretend to be anything. You didn't need Wizards of the Coast to give you permission, well, TSR, depending on when you started, I suppose. Wizards of the Coast to give you permission to play as something. You didn't need them to give you permission to play a certain way. You just had to convince 3 or 4 other people to do that. Now, if you couldn't do that, I'm sorry. Life doesn't always work out. I can barely find any time to ever play BattleTech, but I don't ask Catalyst Games to change everything to make that happen. So that's what saying anyone can enjoy it means. Saying everyone can enjoy it is different, because that implies that the person making the media, whatever it may be, your game or what have you, is actively trying to appeal to everyone. And when you try to appeal to everyone, you end up making gray sludge that's like everything else. You don't have things that made bold choices that could upset some people, because when you make a choice with something like that, you will upset someone. That's inevitable, because different people have different tastes. It's not even a matter of like going out and actively being like, how can we, the man, insult the plebs today by doing what they don't want to do? I don't even mean like that. I mean, like, let's use Dungeons and Dragons as an example. I mean, like Dark Sun. Dark Sun is a brutal setting where the setting itself is trying to kill you, where things like slavery and oppression just run rampant, where magic is low and psionics is high, where there are no gods because they bailed because the world sucks and is dying. Like, it's almost a feudal enterprise, but it's a setting that some people found attractive because it was different, it was new, it was exciting, and others don't, and that's why you'll probably won't ever see it reprinted anytime soon, because you're trying to appeal to everyone, which includes people who, are total feels before reals types, and, if you hurt their feelings, they're not going to buy your products. Although, word to the wise, that means they're not buying your products right now. So, just throwing it out there, because the Venn diagram of people with that philosophy and people who are, let's put it as they're opposed to private property. That Venn diagram is almost a circle. Just saying, like, being involved in a capitalist venture, pursuing that crowd is not a worthwhile thing to do. So, what does that mean, like, for Star Wars? Well, it means you get people in charge, like, well, you know, white men have had a good run of this thing, so let's make sure that everything we produce from now on, that it will be a woman in the lead position, which, in and of itself, a female lead isn't a problem. Rogue One's excellent. Had a female lead, no problem. The problem with Rey, for instance, is that she's written as a Mary Sue. Not Daisy Ridley, not the fact she's a woman. It's the fact that she's a poorly written character. If you'd swap her out for Poe or Finn, you would not dramatically improve anything. Okay? Especially not Poe. He's a Marty stew, just in a different way. And, yeah, it's just because of bad writing. But it's that attempt to appeal to everyone. So I mean, Disney literally has check boxes. Like, there's articles about this, folks. They're incredibly cynical. They don't believe a damn bit of what they say, and they're only doing it because they think they'll make money. And they're being repeatedly proven wrong, but they keep trying. So, that's what happens when you try to make something for everyone. Something for everyone means you have to reduce it to the lowest common denominator. You have to make sure that there's no possible barrier to entry, and you have to try to appeal to smaller and smaller groups of people who have more and more insane demands. You will never appease them. Even if you give them everything they want, they will find some other microaggression or some other baloney that they will criticize you for. Again, partially because they don't believe in capitalism, so they'll try to find any excuse to justify just pirating your stuff instead of buying it. So, yeah, so that's the main difference, and that's why, like, whenever like, the Star Wars is for everyone crowd. No, it's not. It's for anyone. Anyone who wants to engage with Star Wars can. Nobody is stopping you. What they're trying to stop, what sane people try to stop, are the people who are like, you know, this is a great franchise. I just wish we could change everything about it. Okay, that person is not a fan. That person will not be a fan. That person is trying to exercise some level of control over what you are doing. They're doing that specifically to screw with the existing fans and to gain some petty measure of power because their lives suck. And, well, they're generally just awful people. So, you know, you really shouldn't associate with them. But in terms of, like, products, like, okay, like I talk about Battletech a lot on here. There's no barrier to entry to Battletech. Anyone can jump into Battletech. Anyone can buy the books. Anyone can buy the mechs. Anyone can go to conventions and play the games. You can go to conventions and meet the people who write some of the books. The books are written by a broad variety of people who have a broad variety of perspectives. And a lot of them are active on social media. Some of them commented on some of my videos before. And thank you for that, by the way. And, you know, it's for anyone. And, you know, it's, if you want to play a game with giant robots fighting each other, no one's stopping you from playing Battletech. And they don't try to go out of their way to necessarily to pander to parts of the crowd that wouldn't necessarily already be fans. Okay, now obviously they try to grow the fan base because, you know, it is a business and you got to expand. I get all that, but they don't actively try to dumb things down. You know, it's basically the same game that it was back in the 80s. There's another faster version of it called Alpha Strike now. The novels go back that far. Some of the current authors, like Michael Stackpole, have written for them for quite a while. There's an obvious continuity of existence for it. It was a bit rough in the Whiz Kids days, not gonna lie. You got a whole video on that, you can check it out if you want to. But my point is, like, it is for anyone. Anyone that wants to engage can. It doesn't go out of its way to try to bring in everyone. And that's a crucial difference. You know, or like Lego. Lego's for anyone, okay? Now, Lego does try to appeal to both boys and girls, which as a toy company, that makes sense. And they went to great lengths to figure out how to appeal to girls specifically, which that's different from, you know, trying to court ever smaller groups, because, you know, that's literally over half the population. So that's not quite the same. But they don't go any farther. You know, yes, they're corporate speak. They do obviously back certain ideas, and that's fine because it has no bearing on their products. And they don't, you know, they don't sit here and go and cheer, you know, and yell it from the mountaintop or anything that that's their business goal. Their business goal is selling plastic blocks, and they're very good at it. And again, that means it's for anyone. Comics are for anyone. You know, Star Wars was for anyone, and that's the crucial difference. That's what these things need to get back to. Trying to just be open to anyone being a fan. And I mean, even like, you see some of the creators for some of these things are actually actively against that idea. They sit there and they say they're for everyone, and then they criticize potentially half of their target audience. You know, be it either men or conservatives, or however you want to slice things up. They sit there and actively criticize them. Well, now that means those people aren't welcome. So that means it's no longer for anyone, and it's definitely not for everyone. Like, they make that abundantly clear, especially when they say, don't buy our books if you believe this, you know, because comic creators have said that. Those people are stupid. Like, you're in a business to sell things. You don't tell people not to buy your product. I mean, I've talked about this before, like, as far as movies and how this era of business will be studied. Hopefully not too distant future, because I've got the feeling that things are coming to an end here very shortly on this front. And so, like, you don't tell your potential customers, don't buy my product. Like, that's dumb. You're in business to make money. That is your end goal. And so don't ever don't anti-advertise, as I've heard someone refer to it. You know, if you don't like someone, keep that to yourself. You know, you're a public figure. You know, I don't come on here and criticize many people. I occasionally criticize other YouTubers, and I usually don't call them out by name, because I'm not looking to start some weird YouTube drama baloney. But I see things, and, you know, I'm like, well, you know, people apparently want my opinion on things, so there it is. But anyway, that's, you know, just I saw someone mention that in a comment section a week or two ago, and I thought, you know, that is an important distinction. You know, businesses, creators, what have you, should try to make their things for anyone. Then anyone who wants to engage can. You know, like I mentioned, Dark Sun. Dark Sun wasn't made with any particular group in mind other than D&D players. So it's made for anyone. Anyone that thinks that sounds interesting can jump in. You know, but it's not made for everyone, because it's not watered down gray sludge that has no defining characteristics. It's the same damn thing as every other damn thing out there. You know, when you're creative, to be distinct, you have to make choices. And when you make choices, you are going to upset some people. You know, that's the way it is. But I also feel that, this is a minor side note, but I also feel that true signs of creativity are when you're given defined borders and you have to work within them to try to create something, versus here's open-ended, do whatever. You can make great things doing that. I'm not saying you can't, but if you look at a lot of movies, there's all kinds of behind the scenes stories where, well, this thing didn't work, we had this kind of a budget, and they produce a masterpiece because they're forced to think on their feet, to do what they can with what they have, to try to make the best thing they can, instead of having limitless resources and just assuming they're going to cobble something together. They know they have tightly defined resources that they have to account for how they're going to expend them. They have to really put their creative juices to things. But that's a whole other video that I've tried recording a few times, and I just start yelling at some point. So anyway, and I don't like to do that. So anyway, just thought I'd share my thoughts with this. Let me know what you folks think. Is that a distinction or is that a difference? Am I off my rocker here? Is that the kind of thing that businesses and creative types should strive for? Or should they try to make things for everyone? And, well, we just have a bunch of non-creative gruel flowing everywhere. Let me know down in the comments. But beyond that, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing, commenting seem to be the things that help to grow the channel the most, and the algorithm seems to love that, so be it. That's the way it works here. But otherwise, thank you folks for watching, and we'll see you later.